dad's pain was quite uncontrollable. He had a lot of fluid on his legs. The team from Ashgate Hospice, the specialist nurse and the doctor came to the house, talked through with my father and my mother the pain that he was in, and they agreed a care plan that they would go through. They changed his medication, and then after that, the change in his attitude, the change in him, because obviously his pain was reduced massively, and they also would always have a quick chat with my mum to find out if she's seeing things that he didn't even realise was changing, to make sure that everything was covered. They were always asking questions if can they help anymore? Is there anything else they can do? Do they need any advice? Anything like that, they were there. If you did it on a Monday and then things changed on a Tuesday, call them. And then they'd be there again as soon as they possibly could. And there was no restriction on how quick they'd be there. There was no, oh, you've got to wait a week. It was a case of, we're there to help you the best we can. And they did. When my father actually got the cup with the lid on, so he could actually have a hot drink again, he was a guy that loved his cup of tea and had been stopped having it just because he might burn himself. So he was back to having a cup of tea. He was able to use a commode that they got him, that he used downstairs. He didn't have to go upstairs. He didn't have to worry about needing a toilet. When he got out of his chair, before, it'd take a good, 5-10 minutes maybe to get him out of his chair, comfortably for himself. And he'd need assistance from my mum, me sometimes. But now, because he's got this chair, he could do it himself. It assisted him to get up, made him a little bit more independent. Even though he still needed assistance to go to the toilet, the fact that he could get there without having to lean on people and put strain on them, he was back to the smiling dad that I had before. He realised that it weren't all doom and gloom, they were help. And that help didn't just help him, it helped me, it helped my mum. As a family, it was a godsend really. Before, he had no chair, he couldn't get out, he was so dependent on people. It made him quite grumpy, not the dad that I was used to. He would go to sleep for hours just because he couldn't go and do anything else. He was just stuck in a chair, in a corner of an house that he's always been going around freely. He'd lived there for years. He'd just normally go up, get in the back garden, do whatever he wanted to do. But now he's stuck in a chair, in his house, just withering away really. Chair comes, next minute he's up, he's out, he's refreshed, he's revived. But that, for us, it was a bigger gift because we see him change his attitude from being, like I say, unfortunately, grumpy, quite down, quite different. Then he was back to his old self. For me, for my mum, for his friends, when his friends came to see him, from seeing him the week before to when he got his chair, it was like a kid at Christmas that he'd got a new toy. The hardest part for me was telling my daughter, what do you tell her? How much do you tell her? I didn't know what to say to her. She was 8 years old. I didn't want to frighten her. But at the same time, you can't tell them anything different because later on they will find it out themselves anyway. And then it's like you're being dishonest. So I just contacted Ashgate and asked them basically, what do you think I should do? They've got the experience, not me. And they took me through it. They took me through how much to tell her, at what stage to tell her things. And I would honestly say after my father passed away, there was a book that the hospice gave me. In fact, there was 2 books, and they were books for her to fill in. How she felt before, how she feels now. She had to do pictures. She had to write little stories. And that were good because then I could read that so I know how she's dealing with it. You don't always get a child that will talk to you openly about her experience of cancer. And that's what she did. She did it by drawing, writing, and differences. She wrote the differences down, not realising that she was actually communicating with me. She just did it in a fun way, which is what the hospice actually told me to do. And it worked perfectly because to this day, she's nearly 16 years of age now and she still speaks of it.